Whoever saves one life saves the world entire. That ancient Hebrew maxim has special resonance in Israel tonight after the Israeli military successfully rescued one hostage from captivity in the Gaza Strip. This is the moment when 52-year-old Kaid Farhan al-Qadi was brought to safety by Israeli troops. He was kidnapped by Hamas on October 7th while working as a security guard at a kibbutz near the Gaza border. He's now in stable condition at a hospital. The father of 11 is the first Israeli Arab and the 8th hostage to be rescued alive. Yes, there are Israeli Arabs, a couple of million of them. Another reminder that the ethnic, political, and religious alignments in this region are nothing if not complex. The IDF says commandos found al-Qadi alone in an underground tunnel in Gaza. His captors appeared to have just fled. Officials provided no other details, citing security concerns for the remaining hostages. Meantime, negotiations to get those remaining hostages out and a ceasefire up are hitting a wall. And Hamas's top leader, Yahya Sinwar, who has the final say on any ceasefire deal or hostage release, is apparently out of sight. Sinwar is long thought to be hiding deep in the tunnels beneath Gaza. A member of the Israeli Knesset told me that Sinwar may be in disguise, maybe even dressed up wearing women's clothing. Sinwar is now the most wanted man by Israel. So how has he evaded both Israeli and U.S. intelligence for so long? Joining us now is Eyal Hulata, who served as a national security advisor to the Israeli government from 2021 to 2023 and is now a senior fellow at the Foundation for the Defense of Democracies. Also with us is Norman Rule. He served as the National Intelligence Manager for Iran. He served for the CIA for 34 years. Eyal, I'd like to start with you. When you look at the most wanted list of Hamas terrorists after the October 7th attacks, Israel's gotten nearly all of them except Sinwar. Why is he so elusive?
So first, Elizabeth, it is true. I mean, it was clear from the beginning that in order to dismantle Hamas' capability of ruling of Gaza, we will need to get their leadership, a leadership that has chose it is more important to kill us, the Israelis, than to defend their own people in Gaza. And one by one, they are eliminated. Haniya was taken out in Tehran, and Salah Harouri in Beirut. Mohammed Def, which was considered to have 9 souls because he was able to evade the Israeli forces for so long and for many, many years, was also taken down, and all of the brigade leaders. And Yahya Sinwar is continuing to evade us on several special operation in the tunnels under Khan Yunis and in Rafah. The IDF and the security forces have gotten close to him. They were reporting that they reached places where he was and the coffee was still hot on the table. He's put a lot of resources to keep himself alive. I will say that if he only put a fraction of that resource for the better off of his own people, the Gazans, to reach a hostage deal, so that there could be a ceasefire, maybe that would be better. But I guess he values his own life more than anyone else. But over time, as this continues, eventually we'll take him.
Yeah, Norman, you've called him a dead man walking. They got so close at one point, as Eyal just said, the coffee was still hot when they got there. But the fact is, he's still walking around running Hamas. U.S. intelligence has come in with ground-penetrating radar to help the Israelis map out the tunnels beneath Gaza. There are hundreds of miles of them. But despite all these intensive efforts, they have failed.
Well, good evening to you, your viewers, and to my good friend Eyal, who's had a storied career in the Israeli government. I associate my comments with Eyal's statements. The Israeli government has done a fantastic job at dismantling much of Hamas's leadership. They have taken out dozens of Hamas battalion leaders and commanders. The circle of lieutenants around Sinwar is very small. He stays off of electronic devices. He changes locations frequently. And the organization that he actually commands is much smaller than it used to be. So as long as he's hiding the way he is, he will hide behind populations. Remember, he practices not human shields, but human sacrifice to defend himself. And eventually, I'm certain the Israeli government will identify his location and bring him to justice.
Eyal, do you believe these reports that he's disguising himself maybe as a woman, that he might be out and about in communities? Apparently, I've seen reporting that you can't stay in these tunnels forever. You have to come up every few days for fresh air or something.
Well, I wish you would allow our hostages to come out and have some fresh air once in a while. I'd believe anything on Sinwar. I think he will do anything to escape and to bring himself to a position where at the end of this he can come out and declare a victory or whatever he will call it when this ends. So yes, I think he will do anything, get out, disguise, walk about. I also am quite certain that he's keeping some of our hostages, probably the soldiers, the male soldiers around him as human shields wherever he goes, just to make it more difficult, even when we will identify where he is, to target him in the risk of getting our hostages killed as well. This is a brutal man. You know, I think it's important just to understand what kind of decisions he's making and what are his priorities. He could have gotten this war in a ceasefire months and months ago, and he refuses to do so, time and again.
He is, you know, several hostages who were freed have reported that they actually saw him and spoke to them in fluent Hebrew. He learned Hebrew when he served time in prison in Israel, where apparently he studied you, Eyal, very carefully, meaning you, not you personally, but Israelis, the culture. He obsessively watches the evening news in Israel, even apparently from down in the tunnels, to keep his fingers and on what's going on in Israel. Norman, by all accounts, he's not only cunning and manipulative, but he has spent years studying the enemy, so to speak. Will that make him even harder to catch?
To an extent, but his safety will depend upon his ability to stay off the internet, stay off electronic communications, to keep his location hidden from all but the smallest number of lieutenants. And indeed, his leaving the tunnels to go outside might well be for communications, to maintain some grasp of control over Hamas and discussions with the hostage negotiators, so that they don't find out exactly where he's located with those Israeli hostages around him. He's in a very difficult position. And I would also say that as Israeli forces continue to close in on him, his field of maneuver is going to become inevitably a lot smaller as Israel penetrates more tunnels.
And seals them off or destroys them. I know there are hundreds of miles of these tunnels beneath Gaza, but at some point, you guys have got to be boxing him in, so to speak. Wow. Norman Rule, Eyal Hulata, thank you both.
Elizabeth, if I may, just another point for the audience. You've mentioned the release of Farhan al-Qadi this morning. I think it's an opportunity to see the real character and nature of Israel. We've been accused of so many horrible things during this war and immoral. We've been continuously putting our soldiers at risk to free hostages. And this Muhammad Farkan, as you said, he's a Muslim, he's a Bedouin. We don't distinguish among our civilians. I just wish Hamas will make the right decision, Sinwar will make the right decision, and allow all of the hostages, the few of them who are alive and those who are dead, to come home now.
Amen. Thank you so much for that note. Really appreciate it.